Welcome back to the Pig Trail Show. Courtney Mims joined alongside ESPN Arkansas's Tye Richardson. Tye, look, I was at that Arkansas and Mississippi State game yesterday. It was my birthday. I wanted the Hogs to get a win, but they couldn't do it in the end. What do you think went wrong for them against the Bulldogs?
Mississippi State's really good defensively, Courtney, and they limited Arkansas's opportunities and seemed to convert every single time that Arkansas was going to make a run. I thought Arkansas had several chances to really cut it, had some open looks. I know Devontae Davis wants some of those layups that he bad back. Arkansas's guards, for as good as they've been, Ricky Council, Devo Davis, and we know Nick Smith returned struggled from the field. So I know it was really disappointing for the fans that were Bud Walter Arena because that's not what they expected at all yesterday.
Yeah, and also, Ty, you talk about the return of Nick Smith Jr. A lot of fans that I was sitting in my section with were like, what is going on with him? He's supposed to be, the savior of this Arkansas basketball team. But I kind of said to a few of them, hey, guys, this is his first game back. He hasn't played since December. This is his first SEC contest. He's getting back into the swing of things. He has to gel with these guys. He's being thrown into a rotation that they really haven't been able to gel with him just yet either. It's his first game back. Do you kind of feel like he'll get his feet under him in a few games, or how long do you think it'll take for him to start really, okay, now I'm getting it?
I don't think anyone was more disappointed in his performance than Nick Smith himself. I mean, he's very, very hard on himself. All you have to do is watch a practice, watch a game, and if he makes the slightest mistake, he claps his hands together because he's again, he sets his standard very high. And you mentioned it, nearly 2 months without playing a basketball game. December 17th against Bradley was the last time we saw him in a Razorback uniform playing on the floor. So I didn't expect him to have 20-5 coming back. Now, I think he wanted to play better than he did, but I think he'll get back into the role. Eric Musselman, with his G League background, is so used to guys coming and going. So I think he'll figure it out with the guard and really the sub rotation for what this team needs moving forward before the SEC tournament in Nashville.
Moving forward, what is the best case scenario for this Arkansas team? I mean, obviously, they've got some tough contests coming up. They have two road matchups with Alabama and Tennessee. Those look daunting on the schedule, but they also host some teams like Florida and Georgia at Bud Walton that are looking okay at the end of the year. The SEC is tough. What is the best scenario for the Razorbacks right now?
Georgia gets a big win against Kentucky this past weekend. Arkansas's got that big midweek game coming up against A&M, and then they'll host Florida and Colin Castleton. So, yeah, it's not an easy schedule. I think Arkansas has the toughest of any SEC team. In Alabama, they go into Auburn and get a clutch win for NATO. That is one of the best, if not the best, teams in college basketball. So, Eric Musselman and company, they got to rally. They got to regroup. You got to remember, they just had won 5 straight conference games, and they lost one. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. You just like to extend that streak. Unfortunately, you weren't able to, and now you got to regroup and figure out what it's going to take to beat the Aggies in this game as they try to rally an SEC play.
Ty, I want to talk a little bit about baseball with you. That is coming up this week, the start of baseball season. But look, Dave Van Horn and his team have a big challenge to start off the year with when they go to Arlington for the college baseball showdown. A lot of ranked opponents that they're going to take on Texas to start off the year with. Ooh, that's going to be a fun matchup. I cannot wait for it. But what are your thoughts on this year's team, and especially after that news this week about Jackson Wiggins being out for the season?
Back-to-back years where an assumed starter is out for the season. Wiggins this year, Peyton Paulette last year, and his team got to the College World Semis basically this past season. And while pitching was not exactly their biggest strength, I think it is going to be this year. Now, how they adjust without the role of native is going to be interesting, how Dave Van Horn and Hobbs kind of figure things out. You think about who they have, Aiken Smith, Will McIntyre, Brady Tiger, some of the other arms they brought in the offseason. I think there's real excitement about this pitching staff. And in terms of the team you start off with, the Texas Longhorns, who you hate in football, basketball, and baseball as well. Courtney, it doesn't get much better than that. And there's so many Razorback fans in Dallas, Texas. For example, my brother's going. He and his friends cannot wait for this weekend. Globe Life is going to be packed with Razorback fans all weekend long.
Oh, and I think they know it too. When we were talking on the Zoom conference call with all the coaches who are participating, even the Texas coaches were like, We know Razorback fans are going to travel to this one, so we definitely expect it to be a fun environment. Ty, you talk about that pitching staff and Coach Van Horn saying, earlier this month that, hey, this is going to be one of the deepest pitching staffs. This is one of the deepest pitching staffs I've had in my coaching career, which is nice to hear with the news of Jackson Wiggins. You think, oh, this is still going to be a great pitching staff. I think we might see someone like Brady Tiger, step into a starting role instead of being a closer like he normally is. Do you think that might be one of the things they do to kind of work around Jackson Wiggins being out for the season?
Definitely a possibility. I think that Dave Van Horn has a luxury similar to what Arkansas football had at running back when Dominique Johnson went out. It's not that you wanted to lose your big bruiser. Dominique is well liked, but the running back position for the Razorbacks was so plentiful this past year. And that was maybe one position group that you could afford to lose someone. Maybe for Dave Van Horn, this pitching staff is one area that you could afford to lose someone. Maybe not so much an infielder or catcher or the outfield, but I think with it being the strength of their team, maybe if you want to look at this glass half full, that's the vantage point I would take on that. But either way, I'm so excited for Razorback baseball. You've got some great home series this year, most notably with Tony Vitello and the Vols coming to
Ooh.
town. It's going to be a lot of fun at Baum-Walker Stadium this spring and summer.
Hey, I know a lot of people are ready for baseball season to get going, and we are here too at the Pig Trail Nation. Thanks, Ty, for always coming on the show and joining us and talking all Razorback sports. We appreciate having you.
You got it, Cordy. Appreciate having me on.
Thanks. We'll have much more Pig Trail Show coming up after the break. Stay with us.